Hi there, how are you doing? I'm not mic'd up. Don't have my regular camera kit, as you know, or at least as I've mentioned. So I'm going to do this the best that I can. And I'm going to lay back a little bit and discuss this product. The fact that this little thing here is compressed down the way that it is, packaging is pretty good. You can treat it as a lanyard and just connect it somewhere, this product, and I'm going to be splicing them in as I go. But I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, and I'll sort out some of the little things that it doesn't get correct. But these are small trivial things that after maybe putting in a double knot or something, I'll be able to fix that and stop that from happening. But for the most part, you know, you get a pretty solid product in terms of your neck and positioning. And again, I'm wearing a hat and I'm wearing glasses, you know, and depending on who you are, you want to take a nap. It comes with this little mask. Now I'm going to take my glasses off for a minute. Put the mask on. Actually, let me take that off. Now, if you wanted to go for the Zorro, you could do it that way. Do a little slick Rick, full Zorro mode, you know, and you're nodding off. I will say that this stuff works because on my ride to Adelaide, which is about, I want to say 8 hours if you're driving like a maniac, about 10 hours if you're using like a coach or something like that, and they do take a few breaks in between. You know, you're going to be in there for about 10 or so hours, 10 and a half hours, and at some point you're going to feel like taking a nap. The only thing that I can say is you need cushioning on the seats themselves because they are a bit stiff. You can't stretch out your legs. And otherwise, my neck is not stiff. And at some point I actually did get some naps in. I don't want to say sleep, naps. Because again, someone might want to go to the bathroom. Are you on the window seat? Are you, you know, on the aisle seat? These things make a huge difference in terms of how you enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. Again, I'm hoping my mic is really good and I can project a little bit louder. But in terms of the look itself, it's pretty good. And it works. I never bothered using earplugs because I had noise cancelling earphones and I've got earbuds. I use headphones when I'm going to sleep. Earbuds I'm all for if I'm just sort of sitting in a terminal waiting for an appointment to come and I don't have to wear something too bulky. But headphones are for more longer trips where you know that you're going to be uninterrupted. I might actually keep that on while I'm leaning back and discussing a few things. You would think I did this intentionally. Or this, I'm shooting an episode for the Lost Sneaker Tapes. I should, because I've already got the hat on, you know, the Letterman jacket, basic sweatpants. They're actually designed with or for this particular suit, and I'm wearing some Everlast sneakers. I probably could rock these with a different pair of sneakers because the Everlasts didn't really come with fancy packaging to do an unboxing and sort of a fit. But we'll see what we can pull off because I probably do need to shoot quite a few episodes at the moment. I want to start off by talking about my shooting schedule at the moment. Actually, you know what? Let me use this pillow. I want to talk a little bit about my shooting schedule at the moment. In my mind, when I first started the basic channels, the aim initially was a platform for me to vent. That didn't go down as easy as I thought it would. Things got relatively hard, I want to say. Because obviously health issues and other things combined with some personal family stuff. Excuse me for a second, just want to clarify if I'm recording. I don't have my monitors and like I said, my camera set up, so I can't always get the feedback to let me know that I'm recording. So I have to clarify and make sure that these things are where they are, and hope that the noise cancelling earbuds that I'm using now will project the sound the way that I want them to. Because sometimes the noise cancelling itself, sometimes I can hear the street, sometimes I can't, and that could be a combination of factors. It could be a numerous number of factors that have to do with the fit. It could be numerous number of factors that have to do with the mic and latency and other signals interrupting. But basically, what the shooting schedule was supposed to be was I wanted to do about 3 videos every week, and then throw in the occasional podcast maybe once a month or maybe twice a month, depending on what's there to talk about. Because there is still quite a fair amount of things to talk about. I still haven't talked about the PlayStation VR itself. I've done the unboxing video, but I haven't actually sat down and played and maybe captured some footage. That will be one of those things that I kind of wanted to do. I was going to talk about some of my hauls that I got from auction sites, including one of the cameras that I was using, a steam machine, lots of sneakers to go through, and just general fashion stuff to go through. I put up something to do with my pants because I'd lost some weight. I talked about, geez, now I'm forgetting the name. I talked a lot about drawstrings and a few other things that help you sort of fix your pants up and sort of get a bit more mileage out of your pants depending on weight loss or weight gain, how to keep them up, how to keep them on, that sort of thing. But those are more light. Those are more light sort of versions. Most people are there to look at the sneakers, but I believe that the fashion just sort of complements each other. If I'm going to tell you to buy sneakers, have a big sneaker collection, I would like to tell you to clean them, give you tips, either whether it's using the washing machine or using them manually. I'd like to sort of talk about jewelry, talk about a few other things, that just supplements whatever it is that you're wearing on your feet, on top of the general vibe that you're going for. Obviously, for me, I'm just going more for the athletic vibe nowadays, simply because my hips are just always killing me. So just trying to look for things with a soft sole, where I don't have to sort of feel too much of a pain going into that abdomen and groin region, pelvic area as well, and maybe lower back. So I'm always trying to go for the softer shoes, softer stuff. But every now and again, you do have to dress up a bit more formally if it's going to be an evening where you're going to see maybe a parent and teachers meeting or something like that, where you have to dress up a bit more adult, a bit more formal. And in some cases, you're dealing with court issues or something like that, and you're going to catch up with lawyers, etc. Yeah, it's okay for you to go in your baggy sweats and whatever, but I think that everything has its place. If I'm going to a funeral, I will act accordingly. If I'm going to a wedding, I'll act accordingly. And anywhere else that I'm sort of at, I'll try my best to sort of dress accordingly. So, and give everything its basic level of importance. I'm not going to go suited up to go buy groceries at the local Woolworths or whatever the case may be, but also at the same time, when a real serious situation comes, you treat it with the respect that it deserves, and therefore the reception that you're going to get is also going to be the same. Now, with that being said, the schedule was supposed to be 3 times a week. One for the lost sneaker tapes, one for obviously some sort of tech review or repair video or anything, maintenance, sales, whatever the case may be, anything tech related, it was going to cover that. And then the occasional video would be maybe me streaming something. I wasn't feeling playing video games long term, but at some point I decided, hey, let me start playing Breath of the Wild a bit more seriously. Because I've got this habit of playing a game, a couple of hours, enjoying it, loving it, then taking a hiatus for a long time and then not finishing the game. It stuffs up the playlists, it stuffs up, the purpose of me sort of having the hard drive space to store some of the stuff you're recording, some of the stuff, some can be used as B-roll footage, which is great, but a lot of the stuff needs to go on so that people can see and see the playthroughs. The playthroughs aren't going to be the same for everyone unless it's a linear story or linear style of game. Everyone's playthrough is going to be different for games that are open-ended like Breath of the Wild. You have a situation where, hey, these are the main key players. You can go right away and go for Ganon and finish the game, or you can milk it for its 70 or whatever it is, or 70 or 90 or whatever dollars that you've spent. You can milk it for what it's worth, or you can take the um, what do you call them, the speedrunner route, and just go immediately for the things that you need to go for and be done in an hour. I'm sort of taking a leisure approach, unlocking shrines, discovering the shrines, solving the puzzles, and then also doing a few side quests here and there, but also just enjoying cooking and, buying armors and things like that, and seeing some other mechanics. There are things that I liked about the game, and then there are things that I don't like about the game. The moment that you've got a recipe and you've got things in your inventory, it's okay to sort of create a quick menu system where you just gather the ingredients and it gets done, rather than watching animations every time. Every time you finish, anytime you find a shrine, you step into the shrine to sort of get it to open. That's a cutscene. Another cutscene for you to actually get into the shrine. And then once you conquer the shrine, you talk to the guardian of the shrine. You have to press yes, I accept that you've given me one of the elemental or spirit orbs or whatever it is, and then another one to actually get out of the shrine. Like, these are all steps that could have been cut. Again, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, so I can't comment too much on that kind of stuff. I might splice, again, as I'm speaking, I will splice some things in posts, just because I think I should. This is going to be a standout video on its own, which is just going to be a very quick video as a quickie, and it will probably go on Amazon or wherever I bought this from. And also on YouTube as just a quickie bonus sort of type episode, separated from this as the podcast. And I've already filmed, obviously, the intros and everything for the particular product itself. So this video isn't actually starting here, or at least as far as I know. That might change during post again, and I might just make this part of it separate, and then somewhat include some of this stuff in it, because one of the purposes is to cover and to sort of explain why I was going to Adelaide in the first place. But going back to Breath as a game, another friend of mine played it, absolutely hated it, but also did the mistake of comparing Breath of the Wild to Immortals Phoenix Rising. I think that if he had compared Breath of the Wild to Assassin's Creed Origins, I would say yes, because they came out the same year. Whereas Immortals Phoenix Rising either came out 3 or 4 years after, at a point where Breath of the Wild had critical acclaim. Either it won Game of the Year or it was a contender. It was within the top 2 or 3 of those games, right? So a lot of people did take the art style, and a few certain things, games like the Genshin Impacts of the world. I'm not sure if Fortnite sort of falls into that line, but a few other games sort of took that style and took some of the gameplay, including Immortal Phoenix Rising, right? So I basically explained to my friend that it's the Kid Icarus game that we never got in the 3D era, or at least in these particular generations that we're at. And the reason why that is simply because maybe the hardware just wasn't there, Nintendo wasn't quite there. And I explained that from a technical standpoint, just the physics engine alone is a technical marvel, especially if it's something that is made in-house by Nintendo. And the fact that this was a Wii U game that then also got a port on the Switch, on the launch day of the Switch alone, is pretty impressive. The fact that we managed to get such games on such inferior hardware compared to the big boys is crazy. And I think obviously the graphic style helped. But in saying that, the physics alone stand out so much to the point where you can't ignore the physics engine. Physics engine is incredible. Slowdowns, sure, every now and again, but that's to be expected again based on the hardware. Will I be finishing the game? Yes. I think at this point, I think I've done about 40, 50 shrines as I'm recording now. Um, and I've done quite a fair amount of towers. I think I'm left with maybe one or two serious towers, just so that I can open up the whole map, do everything that I need to do internally. Like I said, unlock a lot of the shrines and access a lot of the hidden goodies, and then on top of that, also maximize the hearts. I'm at that point now where I've got two stamina wheels. Initially, when you start this game, your character, as in Link himself, is very much underpowered. He gets his ass kicked constantly. And it's one of those things where one hit will just take you out. By the time you discover a couple of fairies and a few other things, it helps because they can revive you. Um, but really, by the time that I got to about 10 hearts and two wheels, I can confidently say that a lot of the fights, you can now fight them at least on equal footing. By the time that you add special meals with special buffs or elixirs with special buffs, you now have a situation where at least the fight is fair. Guardians are still terrifying as fuck. You see one of those guys crawl up to you, don't do it. I've tried, don't get me wrong, I've tried the perfect parries and things like that, and they do work, but it's either hit or miss with certain Guardians, very, very hard. I probably will still build up the character more so that he can at least take hits to the point where at least he can fight back and actually survive the fight. Um, Upgraded a lot of the armors as well because I've sort of discovered some of the other fairies and things like that. I'm yet to discover, I think, one more of the sisters. Um, there's still very much a lot of story there. Never touched the memories. I think I maybe have unlocked maybe two memories. So maybe getting all the memories is going to pay off. Getting a lot of cores from those guardians might also pay off significantly. Um, that's again, these are things that we aim to see and try to figure out exactly um, where the story is going and how it all pans out. I need to just keep checking once again to make sure that my camera doesn't stop. The worst thing that you want to do is just ramble on and waste a lot of time because that means setting up again and sort of re-recording. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, I want to be there. There are some things that may be tedious, walking, climbing, every now and again finding a horse, etc. I get it. But I also think that once you're in there, depending on what you're there for, I'm not a trophy hunter, whereas my friend, for example, likes his trophies and achievements. So his style of play is a little bit different from my style of play. If I like the game, what I usually look at is I look at the storytelling elements of it. Is it environmental storytelling? Is it storytelling where you're relying on a narrator and hoping that they flesh out the story for you? Is it linear or is it open for interpretation? Or is it one of those where you can then sort of take bits and pieces of the lore as you go? And I think that what they did here was very open-ended, and which is pretty cool. I haven't even gotten to DLC or anything like that. I just like the fact that there's all these other things that are going on. And it's up to you to decide whether you complete or don't complete these things. It makes me want to go back at some point and really play Dragon's Dogma and finish it and actually defeat Death and level up my character up to as much as I can before Dragon's Dogma 2. That's another game that, I want to finish because I finished the main campaign, but the Dark Arisen part of it is not easy. Blackwater is not a joke. Bitter Blackwater. I'm mixing up all my stories from Red Dead to everything and even real life places. Pardon me, I'm a little bit parched. Because I'm speaking so loud, because I'm not sure if the mics are picking up, I have to project, and I'm not really used to speaking so loud. So that's really what I've been doing. Excuse me. That's really what I've been doing in terms of gameplay wise, because usually, like I said, gaming is one of those things that I do as a hobby, not so much as a job. My friend, like I said, being someone who chases after achievements, trophies, all that kind of stuff, it becomes like a second thing. You know, if this was the completionist channel or something like that, great, because he's getting paid super for that. For me, this started off, this whole persona and sort of sitting in front of the camera instead of being behind, and from being behind the scenes, started off as something that, you know, my psychologist recommended as a way to just create and have an outlet. Initially, it was going to be something that I write down or recordings and things like that, but I just thought, you know what, why not actually just turn it into me sort of showing my other skills that I do outside of just my regular job that I was doing for a couple of years. In terms of the regular videos, because we're moving on from gaming for a minute, because that the gaming part of it is kept, you know, I'm sure that in some cases people are getting 2 videos, maybe even 3 videos sometimes. It's the other stuff that has sort of been dry, and so therefore to aim for boosting up obviously subscriber counts and things like that, I have to produce more content. Some content is going to hit, some content is not going to hit. The content that surprisingly didn't hit, which I was surprised by, because the very first response that I got when I got my PlayStation 5 was when I got the WD hard drive, which was for 8 terabytes, and it was basically allowing people to store their video games or their PS4 games anyway, and anything that's been emulated from the past onto that drive, and sort of free up space on the main NVMe SSD. The video that I thought would take over the most was a video that I put up sometime late last year, as in late 2023, and it was for an affordable PS5 NVMe that is, you know, about $200 or so, and you're putting in 4 terabytes, which was the max. They've unlocked it to 8 terabytes. Not that anyone can afford 8 terabytes at the moment. The few people that can, thumbs up to them, because the firmware was released to unlock that. To me, really the biggest thing was getting 4 terabytes in, and then sort of showcasing what the 4 terabytes will do in terms of storing up the library. And basically, if you've got PlayStation Plus Deluxe, I think everything that was the PS5 versions of the games, plus some games that I have physically, the whole library literally fits on the 4 terabyte, and the 1 terabyte, or I want to say maybe 700 gigs or whatever that's available to you from the system. Combine those things together, let's just say 4.5 terabytes, you can fit in pretty much the PS5 library in there for now, updates and all. Whereas I think most of the PS4 games will fit as well, and you might still have some space. The biggest hurdle at the moment is figuring out what to do with the Xbox. People have been hacking some things and trying to figure out if you can make your own proprietary expansion card, so that way you can at least put 4 terabytes in there and probably play some of the next gen versions of the games, right, or the ports of particular games that are coming out, which I think that's pretty good once that's sort of been resolved, because I think that the biggest issue is making sure that it works first, having the adapters to format it in a certain way that the Xbox will read it. Because buying, I think at the moment, last time I bought one, I didn't buy my card brand new. I bought my card used. Normally they're about $350, I believe. I think I bought it at the time for 200 or 250, because the other person, I think, just didn't get value. I already had another 8 terabyte drive, similar to the WD, but this one is for the Xbox. If you're willing to wait, I can show you what the box looks like. Give me a second. So for the Xbox, what I did was I went for the branded route, right? So I went for your typical with the glow. So whenever I actually do switch on my Xbox, it will glow up. But because I really wanted to go for the aesthetics, even when I was building my PC, which I'll show later, I made sure that it had a blue light, an orange light, and a green light to sort of highlight all the consoles at the spectrum. I've got an Astro A50, but this is a Gen 3. I liked it because, again, it's Xbox and PC, but I use it on the PC. I've got a proper headset for the Xbox with the spatial audio and everything. But this was really the game hub for the Xbox, but really you can use it on anything else. I just happened to just use it for the Xbox. Even the hard drive that I bought for the WD, which was the game drive for the PS4 and PS5, the truth is you don't really need it as long as you've got a drive that's 7200 RPM. It should do wonders. I've got a fire cooler here for gaming, also for PC with RGB. I haven't used it yet because the hard drives that I currently have there are mainly for media consumption. I think that my PC, while technically it is a gaming PC, I don't really use it for gaming. I use it more for editing these videos and everything else. So because of that, I don't really use it for gaming, but another 8 terabytes that's there. As far as I'm concerned, because this was PC, even if they made it 16 terabytes, I wouldn't mind. Because really it wouldn't be me storing gaming files per se, but rather maybe gaming footage. That's really what I would use it for, because I've got an SSD built in. I'm just checking once again, just to make sure, because again, no feedback. I should try to find a USB-C adapter and maybe connect it up to a monitor or something, just so that way I can at least see what I'm recording. And if it's a clean signal, I'll be able to see all the stats and everything that I'm doing too, which would be great. And then maybe sometimes use the phone itself as a webcam in HD. That could work too. And then that way I can then mic up and have everything set up for filming with my phone. But I wasn't really going for that vibe. I was now going for actual cameras because I liked the gain on the microphones. I liked the depth of field, having one camera that's at least above me. At least that way you can see my expressions, you can see the things that I'm unboxing, and also just having one camera that sort of gives us a wide shot without the footage being distorted, and also getting mics from different directions and finding the best mic that is overall. Having multiple footage is always good because if something fails or something gets corrupted along the way, you can fill in the blanks. But yeah, so on the hardware side, like I said, we still have a lot of whole videos of things that I would have won in the auctions and then talk about them and test them out individually. We've got those things happening. Sometimes some cooking stuff might come in because I'm sure that techies need to eat at some point. Gamers need to eat too at some point, so why not show that off? But yeah, things like the simulator, the sim rig, I'm not the one that probably will be driving and mucking around as much. My daughter sometimes comes and mucks around and actually breaks some of the 3D printed gear shifter bits, so I need to find a better solution to stop her from breaking it. If she can play it, I don't mind. It's just trying to figure out ways to stop her from going too crazy, because I think the excitement gets to them sometimes. What else can I think of in terms of a channel wise? Lost sneaker tapes, like I said, lots of stuff to shoot. Get the vibe right. Like I said, I'm a little bit devastated because once again, I'll be going back to old format style, and you'll be able to see some of my videos that I uploaded. You can tell that they were filmed some time ago. I just had them in the vault. And some of them require some serious editing and some serious voiceover work as well, because I think that some of the videos are grainy, etc. There's nothing I can do about them now because I shot them so long ago, maybe 2-3 years ago even, when I was still starting the channel, but just kept some because I didn't want to just pump out stuff just for the sake of pumping out stuff. Some stuff that is sales specific, yeah, sure, I can pump it out right away. And then stuff that's a little bit longer, I will stretch it out a little bit more. The podcast doesn't talk about anything in particular. It's a wide array of the channels, but also a little bit more vlog style. And so what I will be doing is also splicing up some video footage from my trip to Adelaide. I'd gone up there to see a specialist, get some bloods and a few other things done as well. I'm in Melbourne, for people who don't know. But I went up there to go see some family, but also get some things done. And one of the things that happened was, because I've had surgery and I've sort of been going to see doctors for a long time, for the past couple of years, I think the veins in my arms at some point just got really tired. Especially when you've had cannulas and things like that in there for a while. I think that if those particular veins, and I'm sure people even who do drugs and things like that would know this, but after a while, some veins end up getting blockages, or they end up just having too many issues where someone has just jammed a particular vein for a long time that it actually ends up getting blocked, or it will collapse, and then it has to reroute and figure out other ways to sort of pump. And so for me, I just didn't have veiny arms anymore because I wasn't working out and I wasn't doing stuff, and I naturally have deep veins anyway. The day that I went to go draw some bloods, they were really struggling with me, uh, to the point where they tried using heat. Hey, drink more water, walk a little bit faster, get your blood pumping, etc. Just trying their best to sort of get me to go. And because it was so hot, 40-degree days, even though I was in there and I had traveled all the way from here to there, and I'd driven. Actually, that's not true. I had flown, and the hotel room that I had gone to, there was some errors in the booking, or I booked late according to them, even though the check-in I'd requested special check-ins. Just a lot of bullshit happened. So technically, I didn't sleep. I basically was roaming the streets all night. I had luggage that I was carrying. I was not in a happy mood. Just things just didn't seem to fit right. Um, that's essentially the story between me and Adelaide. Adelaide and I have never really gelled, and I don't know why. It almost feels like me and that place are cursed. Every time I, it almost feels like anytime I go past a certain border, things tend to go to the shits. I've driven there, I've flown in there, I've taken bus rides there, I've taken trains there, and anytime I go to those places, or at least I go to that part of Australia, something always just happens. There's always mishaps. You get there and you just say, oh yeah, your appointment has been cancelled, or something happens, and you're just like, what the fuck. That's the story between me and Adelaide. So much so that uh, I actually have footage, and I'll try show off some footage where I think I arrived by coach the other day, and I just record just Adelaide itself when it's quiet and it's in the morning and it's not too many people walking around. Adelaide is actually pretty beautiful. It's when people start walking around and stuff, you realize very quickly that, especially the nightlife aspect of it. I'm not talking about the strip clubs and the red light districts. I'm now talking about some of the worst stuff, because again, there are things that people are doing. When you go into a strip club, or you go into any place that is uh, over the age of 18, you know what you're expecting to get out of it. Whether it's a brothel, whether it's whatever, you went in there expecting a certain kind of mood. Whether it's alcohol or drugs being passed around, etc., that is fine. Um, as long as whatever it is that you do doesn't impact other people in a negative way, I'm all for it. I don't mind if you smoke weed. I'm one of those few people that don't care. If you smoke weed, whether you drink, whether you smoke in general, etc., to me, as long as you're not causing any problems for anybody else, we're good. If you're going to have a few drinks, take an Uber home. Don't throw up in the Uber driver's car or the taxi driver's car because he has to clean that shit. Not fun. I had to clean when my dog got really sick, and I was taking him to the vet anyway. Shat all over my car, got really sick because I hadn't taken him for drives or anything like that, so he hasn't built up that anymore, right? That's number one. But also at the same time, it's not fun to clean up these things. So don't get behind the wheel yourself because you're going to kill people. That should be self-explanatory. Same thing with anything else that you consider being under the influence. Um, Take an Uber if you have to. Call a friend. Find other methods to get home. Park the car overnight, pay the $20 fee or whatever it is that they're going to charge you for 24 hours. Who cares in the grander scheme of things? Are you alive? Did you create more unnecessary jobs on a healthcare system that's already weighed down? These are the things that you need to be weighing in. I'll show you footage anyway of me walking around Adelaide in the morning. You start to notice little things like there are a few shops that have shut down. Either they shut down during the pandemic, or they just shut down because business just isn't popping the way that it's supposed to. And so someone will go through the shatterproof glass, but eventually they'll smash it anyway, and they'll create like a little foxhole in an abandoned shop, right? It's because people are homeless and they're trying to sleep in there. Adelaide is supposed to be the city of churches, and it does have plenty of churches, but I feel like from what I've observed, I don't know if there's enough community outreach stuff that's being done, or if there's enough stuff being done by the churches, or if the churches themselves are still churches in the traditional sense where communities come together and they help. I'm not religious, by the way, so I'm just talking about things that I saw as a kid growing up because my mom tried to sort of make sure that everyone gets dressed up and goes to church on a Sunday. That kind of thing. Typical black family stuff. I'm not a religious person by any means. Somewhat spiritual, not overly. Um, I'm not having a brain fart. I just have to sort of stop and sort of just try to add layers to that. Um, not spiritual. Sorry, not overly spiritual. I will attend funerals. I will do the customs that people want me to do because I'm going in a place of where people need to respect. If I'm going into a mosque because a friend has passed away or something like that, I'm going to take off my shoes and show the respect of the environment because again, I'm a foreigner in that environment. If same way if I'm going to a Chinese parade or an Asian parade or something along the lines, if we all have to dress up in that particular customary gear, I'm not going to try to then overstep and act like I know more about the culture than the people from the culture. It's one thing to be enamored and to study the culture. It's another thing to try to spearhead a culture that's not yours. So for me, what I was going to say was walking in and then sort of seeing Adelaide for what it is and trying to understand, the homelessness issue. I saw a lot of black people, both black as in black like myself, African American, Africans, or people of African descent, or black Africans, or black Americans, or black Europeans, whatever the case may be, because some people take offense when everything is African something, African Australian. Some people might not like that because they've known only this. I'm not that. I'm a first gen migrant. I've literally the guy that arrived off the boat. And so therefore anything that happens, the kids here don't know the difference. They've never been home. So it's not like they have some level of connection or know what life is like outside until they start traveling themselves. Whereas in my case, I'm coming from a structure and I'm coming from a place where things are a little bit different. But basically what it came down to is, and like I said, I'll be spicing out footage, is you notice that there's a lot of homelessness. And the last time that I went, like I said, where it was a disaster and my veins ended up collapsing, I had to actually put my things in a locker because I was carrying a laptop bag as well as my luggage. Because I was actually going there to stay for the night at a hotel and then go catch up with some mates and do a few things while getting the specialist stuff. But things just didn't work out the way that I wanted them to that particular night, and they ended up just cancelling everything else that I'd planned. And so I basically had to go with my tail tucked in between my legs, I guess, is because I was sort of running at a loss. But at the end of the day, what it came down to is I also got to see things that are a little bit rough. Again, I married someone from, I guess, with Aboriginal in them, or at least Aboriginal ties. So I can comment on this without it being anything. And I've also got children with people from the community. Okay, so it's now two black people talking, and that community itself is rough. I saw a lot of white people that are also in a really rough position. But the thing is, I don't necessarily want to tackle that community more because the thing is, I saw more black people who are less of the population. They are not even the majority of the population on the streets. Kids just roaming around because it's school holidays or whatever the case may be, till 2 a.m. in the morning. A lot of police presence. People, you can see that, okay, whenever someone eats in a McDonald's or a Hungry Jack's or Burger King, depending on where you're watching this from, you leave a few fries on there, you leave a few things on there, maybe a burger is half eaten or whatever, someone will just go and try to rummage through everything. People are always rummaging with barbecue tongs and things like that to in the bins to try to collect bottles and things like that so that they can maybe go cash them in for 5 cents or 10 cents etc. people are pushing trolleys constantly. Just I actually wanted to show footage of I wanted to show footage of Chinatown, but my recording ended up getting interrupted because I almost got into a punch-on with someone because of something silly that they were doing. I'm literally holding a heavy bag and I'm holding another bag, and someone just decides to kick the bag that's dangling on me. Another black person like me, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? I looked at him and I said, do you want me to smack you in front of your mom? Because the person that he was with could be his girlfriend, but it looked like his mom or his auntie. I said, auntie, tell your kids to watch it because there's an adult there. And he could see that, it's gone from, hey, jokey, jokey to the mood has changed, because my temperament is not that. Not anymore, anyway. Back in the day, I would have been willing to relax a little bit. Not so much. I suffered for a long time in the past couple of years just to try to get surgery and just to get things cut open. I've lost a lot of money. The way that I perceive my income, all these things have changed. So the way that I view things right now, I'm not in a smiling mood. So to see someone do some dumb shit, it's the lockup and etc doesn't bother me at that point, because everyone lives in their own different kind of prison. But at the same time, you don't have to accept disrespect from anybody. And why? And I think that has a lot to do with the kids themselves just being bored, or they can get away with it with certain people, and maybe they're afraid that, certain people are afraid that if they speak out, it comes across as being racist, which is fine. I'm black. I'm not worried about that. And I'm dealing with one of my own people, whether Aboriginal or whatever the case may be. I'm black. I might not be the exact shade. You might be darker, you might be lighter, you might be whatever, but we're still black. So, as far as I'm concerned, when I saw that, I'm thinking, these are some of the reasons why I don't like Adelaide. Things that I like about it, and then there are things that I don't like. And obviously, some things, like things shutting down early, etc., I'm coming from a bigger place. So my mentality when I'm dealing with other cities, especially smaller cities, you're not comparing Melbourne and Sydney to a lot of the cities. This is the same if I'm in Brisbane, for example. Shops that are normally open even on a Sunday late, you're not going to get that from a lot of those places, simply just because either they just don't have the manpower or the resource to do it, or there are other things that are going on. But nonetheless, it ended up being busted. My veins collapsed, which I'll show once again in footage. It might not show now, because now at least I can see some markings, because obviously I've got my sleeves up. But before that, I couldn't even, so painful, in fact, that's the reason why I wasn't even driving. This is the reasons why you hear me talking about walking a lot. And walking isn't fun either, because the hips are sore. I remember when I was driving around places during Christmas, I had to get away from all my medications. And one of the biggest things I can tell you right now is the withdrawals. Even the way that I sit, the way I'm choosing to sit now, is because I just don't want to get too much strain on the hips or in the pelvic region. So and because I'm laying on I'm sitting on a couch, which is a little bit lower than, say, where my knees would be, etc. If I'm sitting upright like this, that strain sort of catches up to you after a while. So even when I was driving, I sort of sit on like a donut, like a pillow or cushion, just to sort of help alleviate some of the pressure. But even that, you kind of feel like you have to jump out of the car every couple of hours just to sort of walk around and move, just to get the body to feel right. So now when you're now sitting in a train, plane, bus, all that kind of stuff, or coach, it's not fun either. Because you can't really recline the way that you want to. Your pillow is not exactly the way that it needs to be, etc. So already your body is not feeling great. And then you get to a place where either people are going to waste your time or they're going to cause so much problem for you. The mood changes automatically. And so normally the thing, your tolerance levels are already iffy. So now why wait for someone to push you over the edge, I would prefer a lot of things be avoided. But sometimes some of these things just can't be helped, because people are creating these situations in a way that can't be helped. So yeah, do you want to get involved in a punch-on with somebody? No. But at the same time, do you want people to step on your toes? No. Unfortunately, those are things that you have to now pick and choose. You have to pick your poison in life. But yeah, I'll put in footage. It was a rough time. And I could feel the pins and needles in my arms for a very long time. It's only recently when I've started actually exercising and just sort of trying to make sure that, you can curl again and sort of do things, without your arms stinging. And so I sort of said, hey, let me go back and see what I need to do. And I went there the other day, and the trip ended up being a bit of a bust once again. But this time around, because it doesn't cost me as much anymore, because I ended up learning a few things in terms of traveling to some of these places. Obviously, having your own car or cars is advantageous, but sometimes driving is not always the way. Would you rather spend 50 or 60 bucks, or would you rather spend 200 or 300 bucks going one way, or I think maybe 200, 220, something like that for a full tank, depending on what time of year it is. School times, the prices have gone back up. Around Christmas, fuel was relatively low. I would say maybe $1.60. Now I think we're almost back to $2 again. So, depending on how far you're traveling, etc., you're probably going to get maybe 550 k's because I drive four-wheel drive, for example, only. I don't like small cars. You're going to get maybe 550 out of a full tank, as in kilometers, not miles. And so when you get you know those sort of distances happening, you then have to weigh up, hey, should I fill in 3 tanks? That's going to cost about 300 and something dollars, maybe even 400, depending on where you're getting the fuel from, how you're getting the fuel, or you spend maybe 150 bucks, but then you lose time, because the thing about the driving aspect of it is driving to Adelaide, I think, is about 8 hours. Taking a coach is about 10, 11 hours. Flying is pretty much 45 minutes. But the thing is, Adelaide, I think the flights going, as in the departures, the departures are cheap, but the returns are very expensive. So much so that you could spend maybe $100 going to Adelaide and spend $300 or $400 coming back. And this is literally less than an hour trip. It's way too fucking expensive. Brisbane, on the other hand, which is further away, it's about an hour 30, I believe, hour 30, something like that. And sometimes you get the flights for 79 bucks. And then when you're flying to Brisbane, which is a city, but it's not the major cities, like say a Melbourne or Sydney, even more expensive. It's almost like they're punishing you. And sometimes that's even with the stop. Hey, let's stop by Sydney and then we'll cross over to wherever we're going. That's even more expensive sometimes. And so it leaves you scratching your head and wondering what the fuck. But those are some of the things that, you sort of have to deal with when you're in Adelaide. If you're going there and you're just going there either as a drive and you're going camping, etc., can be some of the most beautiful places. You can go wineries, you can go campsites, etc. There are a few mountain climbs and things like that. I'll attach them in the pictures. High altitude, you can feel your ears pop. I think there's Mount Gambier? I forgot what mountain it is. I'll put it up in the pictures. Great. But when you're going there for something in particular and you find yourself sort of in the city directly, I took some beautiful pictures while I was in Henley Beach, which I'll once again try to add in there. This is one of 2 trips ago. I just slept in the car for a couple of days while I was there, and just stayed by Henley Beach in that area and sort of then cruised around during the day. But when you're just sort of going there as someone with things to do, and then you've got situations where the hotel stuff's up, and then you're kind of stuck, and then you're now seeing the nightlife and seeing Adelaide for what it is. It's one thing when you went there to party and you know that you're going to see a lot of homeless people, etc., because you're drunk, you don't care. It's another thing when you see it in stark contrast. People are trying to deal with you. Another black person who just see you sitting there, doesn't know you, but maybe because you're dressed up much more hip-hop style or whatever it is, someone will just come up to you and say, hey, you want some yandi? You know, they're trying to sell you weed, or they're trying to sell you whatever it is that they're trying to sell you. And you're like, nah, fam, I'm sorry that you think of me that way. Um, I just came to do whatever I needed to do. Nothing more. These are just some things that I can attest to seeing, when I was cruising around. And so, like I said, it sort of left a very, very weird vibe for me. It's like, hey, if you're going there as a tourist and you're in tourist mode, sure, why not? But when you're going there and you're trying to get some things done, whether it's health wise or business wise, uh, my outlook is a little bit different. I think that if I was going there and I was going out there to have fun, I think that, you know what, I'll be very much happier, and I'll say, thumbs up, I recommend this place, multiple stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever. Um, but because my experience was going there for purpose, yeah, not so much fun. Um, all it did was just make me like Melbourne a little bit more. And I went over to Brisbane as well because my friend uh, did get engaged. They moved into a new property, so it was an engagement, housewarming, etc. the last time that I went there. But this time around, when I went again over the holidays, it was just sort of to reiterate on a few things because I'm the best man at the wedding. So it was to reiterate on a few things and sort of look at a few holes and also discuss with a few other people that I wouldn't have had a chance to see last year when the engagement was still just an engagement and we didn't know what the date of the weddings are. The wedding is planned to be in October. I don't know if I get another surgery or not because I do feel pain in certain areas, especially now when you're not, especially when you decide, hey, I want to get off tablets for a little while I do whatever I need to do. You feel everything. The withdrawals are terrible, which is another story for another time because the migraines, nausea all the time, not sleeping properly, or you go from your circadian rhythm to your normal rhythm, but then come back, and then vice versa. The wear and tear is just not worth sometimes. But then I can also tell you that your gut health is not always going to be the greatest, simply just based on so much medications, and so you now have to take things like Nexium, Somac, and all these other tablets, which also have negative effects on your tummy, because long-term use of any medication in general has its own set of problems. Does the hip feel good? Yes and no. Certain movements and things like that, at least taking a stride doesn't hurt. But try doing a lunge, try picking up things, try holding groceries and doing like a farmer's walk kind of thing, and you feel it. Try walking for way too many Ks and you feel that. Try walking Richie and you definitely feel it, because again, staffies, pit bulls, any sort of family that's in the bulldog or offshoot of the bulldogs expect, muscular dogs that really want to pull, and so therefore, unless the dog has been trained very, very well and is not excited to go out, unfortunately, Richie doesn't go out as much at my kid's house as he would have when it was me, because I used to walk him almost every day to the point where as soon as he sees that lead, the tail, he meets you at the door because he knows what's about to happen. I'm going to go play. COVID messed him up. He wasn't socializing anymore, so he became much more aggressive than what he used to be. There are a lot of things. He cares about the people that he cares about, but now he's not the same when it comes to other dogs. Whereas once upon a time, he'd be excited to go to the dog park and play. Now I myself have to muzzle him, have to do all the things that I never thought I would be doing for little Richie, because, life has been just hard for everyone overall for different reasons. So, even when I found myself, like I said, in Queensland, you go there with one thing in mind. Hey, we're gonna go have some fun, relax. Number one, I forget I used to live in Queensland, and I also realize why I hate Queensland. You see, so now I'm talking about two states that I don't like. The truth is, Adelaide is hot, etc. Bit muggy, but manageable. It's just my experiences that I've gone with other people, and our experiences aren't good. Queensland, on the other hand, to me, it's the weather. Most people just assume, hey, You're black, you should be used to heat. Uh, that's not true at all. I come from the south. South, a really hot day, maybe 32 degrees. But for the most part, you're not getting these crazy, hey, it's 43 degrees outside. And depending on the style of the house, we moved into a house, or at least my friend moved into a house in Queensland where we have ceiling fans. Sure, I don't trust ceiling fans very much because, again, we've talked about this when you're taller, even just raising your arms sometimes can be catastrophic if you forget where you are. I don't have ceiling fans here in Victoria. This house that I live in is not perfect. It's only got a one split system. I've got ducted heating, but no cooling for whatever reason. They could have made cooling an option in there too, because that would have saved a lot of problems for us, but no. Whereas at my friend's house, they don't have, I don't even think they've got ducted heating. They have one split system in the house and then fans the rest of the way. And so the bedroom that they sleep in is hot as fuck. My room was hot as fuck. I don't know. I don't know if it's me or if it's just sleeping on a foreign bed. I can sleep on a floor and I'll be fine. So I can sleep without a pillow. And I'm not talking about these kind of pillows. This is more for sitting up and looking down, etc. In my own bed, I can sleep without a pillow, no problem. I had a nice therapeutic mattress, I think, or the sleep tops or whatever. And when I got injured the first time around, I couldn't sleep in that bed. And I couldn't flip the mattress over either because it wasn't designed like that. Whereas I had another mattress, just a generic mattress, in one of my guest rooms, and I found myself staying in the guest room more than staying in my actual room because of that. Smaller bed. I went from a queen to a double, and the mattress is harder, but I can sleep in it. But I went to my friend's place. That mattress for me is not comfortable, and I can't figure out why. So much so I'll struggle to sleep. I was already struggling to sleep, but this took it to another step. It took it to another level. I went and I did a sleep study at some point, but the study, as far as I'm concerned, was inconclusive because I didn't get much sleep. We were supposed to go there at a certain time, but due to nurse shortages and things like that, I found myself in a situation where, you have to check in early, you have to check out early because they need the beds. So it's like, well, what was the purpose of me doing this? And so I said to my doctor, I said, it would be nice one day for me to do a sleep study when I'm not taking any medication, and then do another sleep study when I'm on medication, and let's see if certain things are helping you sleep better, certain things are messing up your sleep. Are you having restless leg syndrome? So are your muscles contracting and doing whatever it is that they're doing while you're asleep? A lot of these things are inconclusive. So there are a lot of these things that were just not handled well in my work cover case, along with just in general from surgery, rehabilitation. A lot of things just didn't work out, and I think you guys could sort of pick that up from my very first video of this plugged in podcast. A lot of things were just not handled, and they're still not being handled perfectly today, but it's sort of like, well, we're at the tail end of things that need to be done. Let's just get over it, sue each other, take whatever money that you can get and hope that you never find yourself in this position again. Take whatever money that you can get to reskill or retrain yourself in another capacity and find another job that just doesn't, maybe even something that is just self-managed where you don't really have to deal with too many people. You make your own hours and just focus on your client base or whoever it is in the service that you're providing for them. Those are really some of the key takeaways that I've learned from all this. I also, it's one thing when we talk about athletes and how they get injured, etc. An athlete tearing his labrum or ripping his shoulder or anything, tearing his meniscus, etc. They'll numb it, they'll do whatever they can, finish the game. If the injury is too gruesome, they get checked in, they go to rehab, etc. People are forgetting that those guys are getting paid, depending on where you are, what you do. Some guys are starting off at $25,000 a week. you know, and that could be Australian dollars. It doesn't have to be US or anything, going upwards of, you know, $1 million a week. You know, we're now talking about the Cristiano Ronaldos of the world, etc. Based on whatever it is that they have to offer, right? Some people are making 100 million a season, you know. We are not that. You are just a regular worker that's working a regular average job, you know. A lot of those guys, especially people in certain countries like the US where there is no uh, public healthcare system for real, um, you either have money or you don't. A lot of those guys pay it forward. Again, I've got pictures of me and Mick Foley, so I'll put that up so that people understand things within context. I remember Mick looking at me. I'm walking in there and I've got a cane. He says, "Hey, what happened?" You know, and I said, "Oh man, I started off with just adductor issues, but ended up tearing my labrum." Mick more than anybody knows because he was doing fucking elbow drops from the ring to the floor, you know, to the concrete, or doing all these crazy things, jumping off a cell, and he would tear whatever he would tear, whether it's triceps, biceps, whatever, you know, and he's suffering because of it, you know. And again, I'm talking within context because I actually went and I saw him at a show. I'm not going to watch The Undertaker. The Undertaker won't. I won't be here when Undertaker is here. I'd love to go see him and see how he's holding up. But a lot of these athletes, whether it's Hulk Hogan or, you know, Peyton Manning or whoever, you notice it sometimes in their post recovery. That's why they put on weight. They put on all these things. Is because they can't work out as much as they used to. Not necessarily because, again, the drive is gone, but also at the same time physically the body is just worn. You can only do so many surgeries or get your knee reconstructed so many times, hip replacements, etc. And you're not going to go back to what you were when you were 20, 40 years old. I was never able to do the splits. For me to do the splits now takes a long time and reprogramming of 40 years, you know, worth. To do a tumble, just to tumble or do a flip, somersault, etc., you know, requires you not having fear, number one, but also having a really good sense of balance and a whole bunch of other things. So your level of coordination helps. So we respect the athletes and people like that for having great hand-eye coordination, etc. But also at the same time, the passion and the money that they're getting paid to do the things that they do make up for the years that they're not going to be able to do whatever. And that's why the time span for those jobs are a lot shorter. You know, you could start off professionally at the age of 16, and by the time that, you know, 16 years later, you're sort of retiring at that point. 32, 33, most of these guys are retiring. So you make as much as you can during those times. Whereas for the rest of us, it takes a while to make the money or get to a certain point in your life where you're now a master of your trade, 5 to 10 years in some cases, and then you can have apprentices underneath you. And now you're also highly respected at your job. And then during those 10 years or so of you sort of building up that leverage and respect and experience, you can then work for another 30 years before you retire, right? Dwarfing the athlete's lifestyle, you know, or dwarfing the athlete's amount of years on the field by maybe sometimes by 200 or 300%, depending on what area of expertise you are. Obviously, if you're a surgeon and you're in your late 60s and you're now getting the shakes and you no longer have control over some of your motor skills, etc., obviously nobody's going to give you a scalpel. You know, like nobody wants you to hold a blade and cut somebody open, because some of this stuff requires a certain level of precision that you need to be on point, your vision has to be on point, and so therefore those guys have to get retested and all these other things. I was going to talk about my network switch that is now just broken down. I had everything connected onto it, including uploading videos, so now I have to probably rely on Wi-Fi to upload even videos like this, which is going to suck. Because again, the format that I'm probably filming the video in is probably going to be at least 5 gigs or so, because again, long term, I do long form content rather than short reviews, really. So that's going to suck unless I get my Switch back up and quickly be able to upload things the way that I want them to. We shall see. I'll open up the Switch, maybe I'll make a video out of it, and that could be my video for the informed consumer. Could be. Or it might be just, you know, a bonus thing where it's just a random drop. We'll see. But yeah, there are a couple of things that I have to do. We'll talk about the sim. We'll talk about a few other things. Um, but I was just sort of just talking about some of my trips and things that I went to, because again, I think that this podcast, while it's great to talk about the tech aspect of it and cover all that stuff, I also think that it's cool to sort of do vlog style sort of stuff and also show things out and about. Some of the things that I do see in my crazy day to day life and some of my dealings with other people and how things go. Also, if I go into a shop and I see something on special, it's up to me to sort of tell people, hey, this is what's up. Go cop this for $5, $10, etc. while you can. Yeah, so I've got a few minutes left. I really didn't expect it to go this long, but I figured um, if I'm going to be doing these kind of videos and I'm going to be spacing them out for so long, I have to create the content. And at some point, look, if things catch traction and people want to hear everything that I want to say and are happy with this style, because I don't really do scripts or anything, it can become a podcast, and it can not necessarily gear towards a particular type of content, but at least have different guests with different approaches, things that they're doing and things that they want to say, jump in and sort of chime in and have their take. Hell, with things like the lost sneaker tapes, who knows? Throw in my daughter there. If I'm dating someone, I'll throw them in there, because obviously fashion doesn't just relate to just one person. It relates to other people around you as well, and so therefore, seeing them light up when they unravel maybe a particular pair of sneakers or whatever, try them on, and then what they wear them in their daily grind could be good. I try not to put kids in videos too much, and some of the footage that I will be having here, I'll try to, you know, blur up certain things as well. I've been wanting to do a video where I test the noise cancelling headphones that I have, along with these noise cancelling earbuds from the same company, which is Huawei. Um, but I'm in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how do I capture it. Do I put my wireless earbuds in the headphones and activate noise cancelling mode and hope that it records? Um, I don't know. You know, I'll figure it out. I'll figure out either desync something on my phone and then record something and hope that it picks up the noise in the background. Go somewhere really loud and hope that it picks up, or maybe I'll take some a special kind of mic and put it in there, jam it up in the earbuds and see how it goes. I need to buy some wireless microphones as well and see if maybe I can do that like a Rode or something like that, and see if maybe that will help. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to splice in some video at the end of this, maybe even some at the start of this, and let's see how this video goes. Again, smaller channels, so any support that you guys can give me, like, subscribe, etc. I might even start doing some stuff on Patreon a bit more, start actually putting out merch seriously. But I don't think my channels have grown enough. The network as a whole has grown enough. If I had 1,000 on each channel, you know, at least I could monetize the content, etc. I'd say, you know what, humble beginnings, but for now I'm still sort of very early, you know. The videos do catch traction, but I can't monetize the videos the way that I want them to yet. So that's something that we have to look out for. But all in all, I think that this has been a good chat, and I hope that on the next video it will actually be much more pleasant, much more of a good mood, and I'll be showing off some other things. And yeah, but neck pillow, really good, because now I can sort of kick back and relax, and you guys can see my old school Marley. I've seen a couple of these new Marleys pop up. I wanted the one with the old iPod or iPad. Sorry, not yeah, old iPod. Actually, I did see one of them, but it got sold out before. I've got an iPod Classic. I'd love to use it at a barbecue or something and get some use out of it. But all is good. I'm a little bit stiff now. My knees are killing me.